Hi guys, this is Brenda with Keenan Kreations, and today I'm going to show you how I created this embossed and sponged background using sponge daubers, inks, and the new fluttering embossing folder from Stampin' Up. This card uses all of the new in colors, and I also embossed on shimmery white cardstock. It's not easy to see, but it has a nice little sparkle to it. This card is very similar. It's just using soft pastel colors, and you can tell on this one the background is more white, and that's because I was very careful when sponging to not get any excess ink in the background. You can see there are some spots where there is excess ink, and that's something that's going to happen with this technique. It's not going to be possible to have no ink in the background, but this has very minimal. This card, I purposely went outside the lines just to show you that you don't have to be too careful. You can still get the ink in the background and have a really pretty card. We're going to start with the new fluttering embossing folder from Stampin' Up, and this measures 6 by 6. And what's nice about that size is it allows you to emboss in either the landscape or portrait. This is just Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to use this one here. And I'm going to use all of our new in colors. This is Tip Top Taupe, Mint Macaroon, Cucumber Crush, Delightful Dijon, and Watermelon Wonder. We're going to use sponge daubers for this project, and these are great because they do fit right on the end of your fingertips, and because they're small, they allow you a very controlled application of ink when sponging. I'll start with Watermelon Wonder, pat like this. And I would make sure it's not too dark. So you always want to go off on your scratch paper. And see how I kind of rolled the dauber like that? So that makes sure that if there's any excess ink around the edges, it's blotted off. You would rather have too little ink than too much. And I'm going to start with a larger butterfly. And you're going to go in a soft circular motion. So you can go ahead and start right here in the center of the butterfly. And I really am applying very little pressure. Almost the least amount of pressure that you can and still get ink. So what happens is it grabs onto the raised image, and it'll get slightly darker around the edges and these little antennae right here. But just keep going. Now as I get closer to the edge of the butterfly, I'm going to tilt the dauber. So I'm using more of the side of the dauber rather than the flat center. And so just kind of tilt that a little bit. And just go around the edges. Now once most of the ink is onto this little butterfly, I just kind of keep going in a circular motion, and I am going slightly outside the edge just to give it kind of a soft, hazy look to it. I'm not going too far out. When you go outside the edge, you really want to be soft. You'd rather have too little ink than too much. Now the other thing you're going to notice is it's going to be almost impossible to not get some of the ink on the neighboring butterflies, and that's okay. It kind of adds to the look of the card, so don't be upset about that. Now you'll notice I got a big ink smudge here, so obviously we're going to make this a red butterfly. I don't actually know where that came from, but it's hard not to get inky, so we'll go ahead and take care of that one. Remember, you're patting on the ink pad and you're patting on your scratch paper, and just kind of roll it just to make sure you don't have too much ink, and then a soft circular motion. The other thing I've done is I've cut this paper larger than what I need. This is actually cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This gives me a little bit of wiggle room, so if I have mistakes around the edges, I still have room where I can trim it and then layer to the front of my card. So I'm going to do a few more butterflies in the same color before I switch to a different color. Our next color is Delightful Dijon, and this is a really dark yellow, so you most definitely want to pat off the excess ink. See how dark that is right there? So just pat it off. I might have re-inked that pad and it actually might be a little too juicy, so I'm just going to roll that around till it's not too dark. And you can even practice on here, and you can see that that's the color we're going for more than that. Now, even with patting it off, you can see how intense that color is. So just make sure that you have a very, very light application. Our next color is Mint Macaroon. Now this is a pretty light color, so you won't have to pat off as much, but I still do like to pat off the excess. Now I'm going to see if I can hold this up and see if you can see the angle of the sponging a little bit better. So you're going to start really using the edge of the dauber more than the flat piece, because this is a smaller butterfly that I'm going to. So you can go right in the center and then go out to the edge. And the closer you get to the edge, the more you want to tilt that dauber. And then you can tilt it the other direction. But that's generally how you're doing it, and it's just easier for me to lay it flat. It's just unfortunately I don't think you can see it as well. But just go in a soft circular motion and use your edge of the dauber as you get closer to the edge of the butterfly. We'll go to Cucumber Crush. Our last color is Tip Top Taupe. And once I have all of the colors on here, I go back to each of the daubers without adding any more ink, and I just kind of go outside the lines and just kind of soften any sponging on top of those butterflies. This is a Tip Top Taupe dauber, so I'm only going on the Tip Top Taupe butterflies, but I'm just going softly outside the edge. And usually if you're sponging and you find that you don't like the way that your sponging looks, most likely you just need to sponge a little bit more. So if you just keep at it and sponge a little bit more, you'll be happy with the result. Now I'm just going to go back to the completed samples. This one, you would just cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, And then this is just going to layer on your standard card size that measures 5.5 by 4.25 when it's folded. I hope you enjoyed today's project, showing you how easy it is to emboss and sponge ink with your sponge daubers. For more ideas, you can visit me at KeenanCreations.com. Thanks and have a great day.